Ladies and gentlemen, I've discovered a magic number that could potentially get you very rich in life. And this number is a very big inspiration for me. And I hope that you'll be a big inspiration for you too in managing your wealth, investment, and life. Let's watch on, shall we? For starters, I just want to show this amazing picture. And this picture was developed by artificial intelligence by my niece. And it also shows that we should take artificial intelligence very seriously and a powerful creativity power behind it. Let's go on with our content. So as usual, these are my usual disclaimers that this content is for education and entertainment, not financial advice. And let's go. So I noticed that there is a powerful wealth explosion over the last 4 years across the pandemic until now. And that's quite surprising because over the last 4 years, we've been through a pandemic, we've been through a great inflation, high interest rates, and despite that, the wealth of the rich has exploded. In fact, the combined wealth of the top 10 rich has grown from $1 trillion to $2 trillion, doubling in 4 years. And the compounded growth rate is about 15%, and that's truly amazing. Now, who are the top 10 wealthy people in the world? Of course, knowing their wealth doesn't help us, but knowing some patterns that they follow will give us an insight to how the wealth and our investment should be. So, for top of the list right now is Elon Musk. I think it's just crossed about $500 billion of wealth. Then we have Jeff Bezos from Amazon, reaching 240, and his growth has went up by 35% over 4 years. Bernard Arnault, which is the LVMH founder, more or less his growth is flattened. Bill Gates, 41%, Mark Zuckerberg, 160%, Warren Buffett, 50%, Larry Ellison, which is the Oracle founder, 200%, Larry Page, Google founder, about 60%, Sergey Brin, also Google, 60%, Mukesh Ambani from India, Reliance Group, about 33%. The combined wealth has gone up by 76%. And this magic number is the compound annual growth rate. That means every year the wealth grows by how much? Is 15%. And this number, 15%, is what we're going to discuss today. So what powered their wealth? Well, it's quite a mixed bag, but largely we see that it's all around the software, the high tech, and the creativity business. So Elon Musk, of course, is well known for Tesla, but he's not just in Tesla. He's now in X, which is the former Twitter, there's SpaceX, Starlink, and then you've got Jeff Bezos, which is in Amazon. And Amazon is not just in selling things to customers, but they are also in cloud infrastructure and so on. Bernard Arnault is LVMH, and to be frank, LVMH kind of flattened their growth. I think that's largely also because China, as a consumer market, has cut down a lot. So his luxury business has kind of flattened, but still a big number. Bill Gates, of course, Microsoft rally has gone up. And Microsoft is heavily into AI with Microsoft Copilot and things like that. So all these are riding the entire tech wave. Now, Mark Zuckerberg is not lagging behind. Meta has grown up powerfully. There was one period Meta almost crashed and burned. Surprisingly, it's still growing from strength to strength. And of course, Larry Ellison of Oracle, surprisingly, he's about 80 over years old, married a young wife. More importantly is that he looks a lot younger than that. His Oracle, which was once upon a time deemed as the old-fashioned, or rather antiquated software company, is now riding on the entire AI wave. And of course, we have got Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin riding powerfully with the AI wave and Google as well. So all these are the reasons why it's gone up, but that's not the main discussion topic. This is the big number, 15% CAGR. Now, 15% CAGR is the average of the top 10. Some was higher, some were lower, whatsoever. But more or less 15% was the average. And as a rule of thumb, if you want to become very rich, I think the number that we should hit for is around 15%. That will get you very, very rich in life if you can hit 15%. Now, I'll just say this. There's a lot of young people they are shooting for some insane numbers, trying to double their wealth every year. It's just not sustainable. The rich, the rich kind of hover around the magic 15%. I think that's very, very good already. Second is that equities ownership is more important than employment. Now, a lot of people want to be very rich, but yet they put all their bets onto salaries and bonuses. I'll just say this, that it is the stake that you own in equities that will make you very rich, not the salaries that you make. So that's where investment is important. And the other one that is equally important is entrepreneurship and equity compensation is the big fortune creator. Now, not everybody can become an entrepreneur, and especially at my age, being entrepreneur might be even tough for people who are starters. But I want to share everybody that there are many jobs that pays you in terms of equities, and you should take advantage of that. Had I kept my Singtel shares until this day, I think it's worth a hell lot of money. But I'll just say this, that equities ownership will get you very rich if you put it in the right place. Lesson number 3 is tech and software is very important. Okay, tech and software is very important. A lot of people are mesmerized by DBS, OCBC, UOB, all this old-fashioned business. No, they're not bad, okay? They're not bad. But if you want to be very rich, you cannot escape tech and software. We are now in the most powerful stock market boom led by artificial intelligence, and most of the big runners are all in this space. And this brings you exponential return from scale. And it's the main reason why the STI index have not done well in the past is because they don't have much tech and software company. Well, I mean, now it's coming back, but it still lags terribly behind over the last 17 years. It just recovered from its downturn. But the key lesson from here is that if you want to achieve outsized return, you cannot avoid tech and software. Lesson number 4 is that real estate is not the fast lane. Now, a lot of people say, oh, I make millions of dollars through real estate. I bought this condo, I bought this landed property or so whatsoever. That top 10 list does not include real estate investors, if you notice. But of course, you can say that, well, they are top 10 in the world, but I just need something humbler. I'll just say this. Now, in Singapore, real estate is very difficult to become very rich because of ABSD and so on. And leverage is often involved in real estate investment, and leverage lock you up. It's a prison that lock you up from taking bigger risks in life, making big decisions, and scaling. And it's got geographical limitations. Once you're being locked up, you can't afford to take certain risks in life and involve a lot of high capital requirement. So I'm not in favor of people who are aspiring to become very rich to pursue real estate and property investment as a path. Now, high tech clearly has the advantage. Number one is that there's very low marginal cost. There's huge scalability. In fact, infinite scalability, global mobility, and so on. So the network effects are simply insane. Now, in the pursuit for the 15%, the magic 15% CAGR, that means compound annual growth rate, let me be clear that it will come with a lot of volatility. If you were to look at, for example, Mark Zuckerberg, his wealth fell from 150 billion to 50 billion at one point in time, okay, or at a low, and then gradually come up and recovered. So most of the 15% will come with astronomical volatility, and it's not one straight line. And people who are able to tahan, to be able to withstand the volatility behind the 15% will do very well. Now, of course, you must put your wealth in the right place. If you bet on individual stocks whatsoever, I think the risk is very high. But I choose to invest in a globally diversified index that will de-risk my exposure. I give you a few examples. Elon Musk wealth, okay, in 2021 was 300 billion, went down to 100 billion. That's a massive, more than half drop, and then upswing again, right? So it's a huge swing. Mark Zuckerberg went from 125 billion to 55 billion, 1/3. and of course, go up to 250. Now, of course, you can say $55 billion is still a lot of money, but the key thing is the volatility that's involved. Okay. And then, of course, Oracle went down, went up 150% 2 years, then minus 15%. Jeff Bezos, Amazon went down 50%. Okay. And then rebounded as well. So you must expect that you're in your pursuit of wealth to be able to withstand huge volatility. And if you cannot handle volatility, that means your wealth going down in the extreme by to 1/3, then maybe you should not be in the space of investment. So as a guide, you must be able to handle halving of your wealth. And if you can't handle, then don't put your money into equities, because the price you pay is very high. Because when the market goes down, you'll panic sell and do stupid things, or you'll keep buying at the wrong time or selling at the wrong time, and then get yourself into a terrible heartache. Now, what does this information mean for us, and more importantly, our children? Number one is that we might be too old, but ask our children to join scalable tech and AI platforms and seek equity compensation, not just look at salaries. And this experience will have outsized return in future. And I also like to share with everybody that I always invest in broad-based index, and I've said before and I'll say again, the S&P 500 historically over the last 100 years return 8 to 12% return, and it's pretty close to this magic number, by the way. And the Nasdaq will return anything between 10 to 15%. That's also something I look at it a lot. But it will accompany with huge volatility, sometimes over 80% drop historically. So you must be able to handle this kind of volatility. So therefore, we must equip our next generation with some of this knowledge, or ourselves with this knowledge if you are still young enough to pursue things that are in this direction. So the practical guideline I want to share everybody is that not everybody can become a billionaire. I can't become a billionaire, but we can learn from their principle and apply them prudently. I think the 15% reality check represents the high watermark that we can reach. If you try to pursue returns that are above 15%, you may be successful in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, but at some point of time, the bubble will explode and you can't, you will just lose everything. So I think 50% represent an upper limit where we can pursue. And we also want to use this guideline to avoid reckless risk taking. Many people want to double their wealth in 1 year, 2 years, and then end up in a spectacular crash. And that's something I want to warn everybody against. So my investment thesis has always been this. Number one is to establish a safety net. In my case, a financial safety net with the CPF. So anything were to go, I still have my CPF. And then I put a sizable but not outsized bucket into high growth index funds. In this case, I'm talking about globally diversified index funds of 8 to 12%, and index such as, and not limited to, Nasdaq, which returns 12 to 15%. And I buy them at rock bottom low during crashes. So I'll never lose money with them. So my growth bucket will grow about, somewhere between 12 to 15%. I've shown everybody how I achieve 15% growth with my S&P 500 and so. And last is that above these two layers, I will put more money into passionate entrepreneurial ventures. And this is where these ventures will take outsized risk, but hopefully outsized return as well. And I hope that these ventures will come to light soon in outsized return. So therefore, you can see I'm pretty well spread out, pretty diversified, and also secure myself with a financial safety net. So I think this is a strategy that you might want to take a chapter on. So the path to wealth is like Rome, right? There are many paths that reach there. The path that I've chosen is a more conservative one. I start something safe, and then I pursue a sizable bucket of it to funds that can grow 8 to 15%. And then after that, I bring some of my wealth into passionate businesses that I like to pursue, and then let it compound over a long period of time. Okay. I've done pretty decently well by my standard. I hope that this little sharing will help you decide how you could pursue your wealth. Let me remind everybody again, you don't need to be a billionaire to become rich. You just need discipline, diversification, and not to over push it, but gauge yourself towards a 15% CAGR or more. So the secret isn't about chasing outsized crazy 100% return. It's about consistently compound at realistic rates, managing the volatility, and stay invested for decades. I hope this little lesson will get you, to think through some of your investment strategy and your thesis. And I hope you will do well for yourself and your family and your generations to come. I'll see you in my live stream. Bye-bye.